Hi, and welcome back to TubaPeopleTV, where we talk about all things Arnold Jacobs. I'm here in the basement of the Symphony Center with Charles G. Vernon, bass trombonist to the Chicago Symphony since 1986. I was there when he came. It was quite awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, you're one of the leading Jacobs students in the profession today. And I'm just wondering if you can recount for us what led you to begin studying with Mr. Jacobs.
Well, let's see. It goes back to where I was in Atlanta at Georgia State University with my friends down there, Mike Moore and Harry Maddox. And Harry, we were roommates, and we had heard about the Chicago Symphony. Of course, we were listening to all the Reiner recordings. That's what we kind of lived for and listening to, of all that stuff. And just became enamored with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and the brass section, and hearing the tuba on the bottom and the trumpet on the top, and just how homogeneous, what a great sound it was together. And somehow, I don't know exactly who did it, but I think it was probably Harry. He organized lessons with Jake in 1960. I think it was 69. It was the first time that we went up there and drove up there in a little Volkswagen Beetle and drove. And at that point in time, he had arranged it. And we got there and we went to Jake's house.
It's on South Normal?
Yeah, on South Normal. And, came in there and, I'll never forget the way it looked. It looked worse than anything I could ever have done to my house or any I mean, the basement.
Hoarder. He was definitely, Mrs. Jacobs was a
hoarder.
hoarder.
My God, it was unbelievable. A hoarder, yeah. It was incredible how that worked out. But, I came in, there was stacks of newspaper everywhere, and Gizzy
magazines.
She was in the TV room, which was right there with her mother, I believe. And they were watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
So Harry and I went in. Harry went down first. I went in and watched Star Trek and talked to her.
Do you remember the episode?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Damn.
It's important for some people.
It is.
That's why I asked the question.
My brother would have remembered that, and my son now knows them all. But I don't remember which one it was. But he, so Harry came up and I went down, and I remember I had this glass bottle of water. Stupid at that point in time where we have these glass bottles filled with water in my case. Put it up, dropped it, broke glass water everywhere in his studio. He did not bat an eyelash. Nothing changed in his demeanor at all when that happened. If it had been me, I thought, oh shit, well, let me help you. Nothing. Absolute nothing. It was like it didn't matter. He said, play for me, and I was sitting there, glass and water everywhere. So it was a great moment in time because he confirmed. How can I put it? And this has nothing to do with my friend Harry Maddox because he is great and he was a tremendous
player.
He's fantastic, and he and I were best friends, and I saw him recently. Hi, Harry. Jake looked at me and said, got an edge over that guy downstairs, And I went like, oh. And because nobody had ever said anything in Atlanta, it was Harry this and Harry that and blah, blah, blah. And I was just kind of hanging on playing second trombone and everything. And we're great friends. And he said, not technically. He just said, musically, there's something that you have. And nobody, I felt that inside, but nobody had ever said it. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do against him at all. It just is like, wow, somebody noticed that there was something that was special. I have tons of, I had miles to go and technique and all that kind of stuff to catch up to Harry. There's no doubt about that. But that was great. So that started me. He had a way of going in somebody's brain in the back door,
mm-hmm.
And kind of motivating you to think about something in a way that you'd never thought about that before. And he just kind of grabbed a little nerve, a little confident nerve that he just wanted to let me go. There were many times in lessons where I walked out of there feel about like one of these,
mm-hmm.
I mean. You know, this was later on. I guess it was the second or third lesson I had with him. That was '69. And we had 2 lessons that time. And then I came back in the end of '69, almost like almost into '70, I think it was, where I just switched to bass trombone. I had been playing with Paul Revere and the Raiders, this rock band, made some money, and I bought a bass trombone. And most of the stuff that I was playing in sessions and stuff were second parts or low parts, or if in sessions there were 2 trombones, and I'd play the bottom part and play it on my 88H, and on a microphone, it sounded great. It sounded like a bass trombone, but which I didn't have any idea what was that, except from listening to Kleinhammer, of course, and George Roberts. But I never really had experienced it up close, other than having lessons with Ed and listening to George play. And then I came back for a lesson with Jake, and he just hammered me. I see no progress being made, and I was like, and I just felt like, oh shit. And one of the reasons was, it was like, I had just gotten the bass trombone 4 days before that, and went to Chicago with a Holton. And 2 triggers. I think it had 2 triggers on it, and I was just trying to play the thing, and he
He didn't care about that.
He didn't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
He was completely, Nah, you can keep that in there. There's all kinds of stuff on the internet. You can certainly keep that now.
What would you say is the biggest the biggest thing that you came away with, and then maybe something that was specific, really small, that you came away with your could be over the entire scope of your lessons, or it could be the first few, or?
Well, it was that general thing with him, in that every lesson I ever played for him, played in there with him, I felt like that I wasn't at all playing up to where I could play. I wasn't at my potential. Because he was always throwing me off, trying to get me to think about the right stuff, trying to get me to think about music instead of the trombone,
Right.
And it was like, think about sound, and no, what are you thinking about, and blah blah blah, and back and forth, and I just felt like, oh man, there's so much to figure out here, and every now and then, though, in the lessons, he was like, that sounds great, and especially the later years, I'd play a ballad for him, and he said, never heard anybody play it like that, which was, unbelievable for him, and because he was always talking about these guys in the NBC Orchestra, Neil DiBiase, and these guys who he knew and played with and stuff. So he would always know what it would take to get to me, like I said, in another way, and he was never, he was hard on me all the time. I never had it was never an easy time. We'd talk about all kinds of stuff. He'd be sitting there eating this, whatever he'd be eating, and
Grilled cheese.
whatever, all kinds of stuff, And it just, in general, he was just, he knew how to teach. He knew how to get to people. He's the greatest. And there's not a day goes by that when I'm teaching that I don't wish he was around.
Yeah.
That I could ask him, what do I do about this or this guy or what, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I miss him tremendously, and sometimes I play with my new book. Mike Moore put some pictures of him in there. Sometimes I'll be playing and I'll just look at him.
Yeah.
I just remember those times. I've got many videotapes of lessons that I've got to somehow get preserved.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've got some of those
That would be
and he's
Yeah.
chewing over there. But no, it was in general just the greatest absolute inspire and the greatest kick your butt guy that you can ever imagine.
What do you had the unique opportunity to spend some time playing next to him
It's awesome.
For a couple of years.
3.
3 years. What can you describe that? What was that like for you, being a longtime student of his and that sort of thing?
Well, it was first of all, coming to the Chicago Symphony and sitting there on stage, and there's Arnold Jacobs, and there's Frank Foley, and there's Adolph Herseth over there, and and Dale Clevenger and all the horns up there, and it's like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm here. That was my first reaction, and especially to take, Ed's place. Oh my God, what a the greatest, just incredible pure person, great teacher, and great orchestral bass trombone player, the best, And just to be sitting there, and then I would be looking around, and I hardly ever, a lot of times when you go on stage, you will be, you warm up and you want to do all these things. I just couldn't do anything. I just had to sit there and listen to what Bud over there doing his thing, but Jake sitting on his little box, and he'd take these breaths, and his body went up and down, up and down, up and down, and he would just have a little bow. He would always talk about the violin bow, and his bow was little, mine was longer at that point in time, and mine has gotten littler being older, which really sucks. Thank you very much. But he would, and lessons, and I'd come in after some giant walked out of the room, some giant tuba player that was 8 feet tall or something like that, and he would just be sitting there just shaking his head and said, if I had half his lungs, I'd be incredible. I said, you are incredible. So, but watching him, just sitting there watching him play and watching him breathe and listening to him breathe with his the sound that came from his body like that, and just it go choom 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 choom.
So efficient.
Unbelievable. And the sound, I love all our tuba players, our modern tuba players, Gene, Mike Moore, all of you guys, everybody. Nobody had that sound.
It's unbelievable.
It was the most incredible thing I've ever heard. And in that middle register, from low C to high C, when he playing by himself or with me was incredible just to listen. So there were a lot of times I'd be sitting there, so I'd be lost because I'd be listening to him so much, and especially when everybody was on stage warming up in intermission and beforehand, I just would just sit there and just couldn't believe my ears. So it was the most incredible experience that I've ever had those 3 years. Now, playing with him was incredible because he locked onto me like this. And it was not ever a problem playing with him, even though he had trouble with air and he was struggling down low. And the last time I played with him was a big celebration for Bud's retirement or something like this. And this was in June, and he died in the fall of that year. But this was in June, and I'll never forget. Gene was over there, and Jake was right there next to me, and I was here, and Chris Foley was here, and Mike Mulcahy, just all the people who'd ever played in the Chicago Symphony who were around and who were members were there. And Jake was just having trouble reading, this Gabrielli thing. And all of a sudden, I just started playing the same part that he was. He locked in and he said thanks or something like that. I can't see the music,
Right.
Music was big. I can't see it. But that was incredible, the way his sound, the way he could lock in with that quality of tone. It's incredible.
Well, I remember Charlie, because I was working here at Orchestra Hall during 1986 before I left for Savannah, and I remember just how giddy you were when you came, and you were just like a kid in a candy shop. It was really neat to see.
Yeah.
It was refreshing because it was so genuine,
Mm-hmm.
and you were so excited to be a part of that legacy. So,
incredible.
Puddles, our loyal and faithful mascot from the University of Oregon, he was very excited to meet you.
Did he play tuba, Puddles?
Play sousaphone.
Oh, sousaphone.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I want Gene to play a sousaphone here.
Well, there you go.
Straight ahead, upright, like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about.
Really, that would be great. Okay.
But Puddles, he's got very good manners. Sometimes I'm less mannerly, and so he reminded me to bring you a thank you gift as a token of our appreciation for the time you spent with us here in this interview. So we're happy to present you with some genuine University of Oregon duck nuts.
Duck nuts.
So please accept these with Puddle's permission.
Puddles and duck nuts. That sounds really weird, but okay. Puddles. Thank you, Puddles. Appreciate that. This is going to be my dinner since I've had nothing to eat.
He says you're welcome. Thanks,
All
Charlie.
right, my pleasure. My pleasure.
It's great to see you.
It's great to see you. Hang in there.
And now back to you.